Hello, you beautiful people. Today we're back with another waiver wire pickups and drops video, week 14 edition. So as always, if you enjoy the content, feel free to drop a like on the video and subscribe so you get notifications for all the future videos. And with that being said, let's just get right into the waiver wire pickups for this week. So as always, we start with the player in the thumbnail, and this comes in the wake of Al Horford deciding that he's going to be shut down for the season, or OKC deciding, don't really know with that situation. But anyway, the first player is Moses Brown, and Moses Brown is someone that has been like the most added player for this past week, and it's evident why. I mean, he had that 2020 game, and most of his value's tied up in his scoring and rebounding, but when you're just going to be a high energy, roll to the rim guy, you're going to get a lot of shots on a bad team, and he's just grabbing a lot of rebounds, so he's going to be a really good add for this week. I'd definitely pick him up if he's on your waiver wire. He is being added like in every single league at this point, so you might be too late to pick him up, but I just figured I'd let you guys know in case you were a little late to the party. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be a long-term add though, controversially, because I think people are forgetting that the OKC Thunder did also bring in Tony Bradley, who's a promising young big man, so I feel like him and Moses are probably going to split the minutes going forward. So before Tony Bradley gets fully inserted into the lineup, I think it's a great time to pick up Moses, and you might even be able to sell high on him if you want to trade him as well. And yeah, with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the second player. It's actually going to be Terrence Ross. So we got a lot of Magic players in the pickup section, and obviously it's because they just traded their entire team. But if we look at the roster right now, it's not really constructed around a lot of off-the-dribble playmakers or guys that can score the ball well. And that's where Terrence Ross comes in. He is going to be getting probably 20 shots a game, honestly, because it's Terrence Ross. All he does is come off the bench and is a microwave from three, just chucks everything. And now he's going to be in the starting lineup just getting unlimited looks. So I don't see that doing anything but helping his fantasy value, especially in terms of a streaming spot. Like I said, you're not looking for anything long-term with Terrence Ross. This is just a streaming spot if you need some three-pointers made, some points in category leagues. And then in terms of points leagues, I think he's going to be a really good add because he's going to have games where he gets hot and he's just going to put up really good numbers. And then we go on to the third player, and Malik Monk is back, baby. So as you know, he was in another waiver wire video we did a few weeks back, and due to the tragic injury to LaMelo Ball, prayers up, hope he gets better soon, Malik Monk has really come into his own again. It looks like he's getting the opportunity. As soon as one of the guards on Charlotte gets hurt, Malik Monk is the first one to take advantage of the opportunity, and that's what he's doing. I mean, he had a really good game against the Heat. I believe he put up 30, and that's just the kind of thing he can do. He's similar to Terrence Ross, a guy that can just get hot and score in bunches. So if he's going to get the minutes, then I think he's a great waiver wire pickup, and I definitely recommend getting him if he's on your wire. And then moving on, we're going to go on to another Orlando Magic player. It's going to be Wendell Carter Jr., and he's sort of been solidified as their big man of the future because we all know Steve Clifford absolutely hates Mo Bamba for no reason. But moving forward, it looks like Wendell Carter is going to be getting the majority of the starter minutes. I know he was playing third string in his first game back, but they did say they were going to work him back into things, so I don't think that trend's going to continue. Wendell Carter has been a really solid player, and I feel like with the opportunity he's going to get on the Magic, it's just going to do nothing but help his fantasy numbers. So if he's on your waiver wire, which he just might be because he's only rostered in about 40% of leagues, I'd go ahead and pick him up. I mean, he is going to be getting starter-like minutes on a bad team, so he's going to be putting up some really good fantasy numbers. And then we're just going to stick in Orlando because honestly their team has just turned into a gold mine for waiver wire pickups, but it's going to be Chuma Okeke. Sorry if I butchered that, Chuma, even though you're never going to watch this, but anyway, I've picked him up in some of my leagues just because I needed someone to stream for a final night to get a win, and he put up a fair amount of fantasy points for him. I mean, he's a really solid power forward, and similar thing, if he's going to be getting 30 minutes a night, he's going to be a good fantasy asset, so I definitely recommend picking him up if you're in a deeper league and all these other guys are taken. And then lastly, I just wanted to put a little reminder because I mention it every week. Pick up Time Lord. Robert Williams III, pick him up. This is just an alert. If he's on your waiver wire, pick him up. I know Tristan Thompson might hurt his value, but for a waiver wire stream, he's about as good as you're going to get in points or categories leagues, and you might even be able to sell high on him if you really are concerned about Thompson affecting his minutes. And yeah, with that being said, that's going to be the waiver wire pickups, so we'll just go ahead and get into the waiver wire drops for this week. So if you made it this far into the video, consider joining the Discord through the link in the description. I assume you're not a fantasy casual if you're watching this far into the video, and the Discord could really use someone like you. It's a really great place if you want to have any trade advice, any waiver wire suggestions, if you want to talk about any fantasy related NBA stuff. I definitely recommend checking that out. But anyway, if we're just going to continue on with the drops, for this week we're going to start off with Lemon Pepper Lou. And as we all know, we just got traded back to the Atlanta Hawks, and the Hawks just have a lot of depth at every position, man. They have a lot of scoring. And I just don't think Lou Will's role is going to be that prominent, and I don't think he's going to contribute that much from a fantasy perspective. Because if we look at Lou Will realistically, all he really contributes is points, and if he's not going to be scoring the ball well, then he's just not going to be a very valuable fantasy asset, honestly. And yeah, next up we're going to move on to Eric Bledsoe. I included here the who was Terry Rozier thing because I just remembered that. Remember that playoff series when he was talking shit about Terry Rozier, saying he didn't even know who he was, and then Terry absolutely cooked him? Yeah, I didn't forget about that, Eric Bledsoe. Don't think you caught me lacking or anything. But anyway, Eric Bledsoe, definitely a droppable player. The only way he was going to stay on rosters is if Lonzo Ball got moved at the deadline, and it looks like Lonzo's staying on the Pelicans, so Eric Bledsoe, definitely drop his ass. And then next up, Kendrick Nunn. Signing Oladipo just hurt Nunn's value even more for fantasy. The Heat have a really crowded backcourt right now. They have a lot of good options they can turn to, and unfortunately, Kendrick Nunn's not one of the more prominent ones, so I think he's going to become a waiver wire drop player. And then, similarly, due to a trade, DeLon Wright now on the Kings, really just not getting a lot of opportunity to play the point guard, which is his true position because the Kings have Halliburton and Fox, so that really just decreases DeLon's value if he's not going to have the ball in his hands. He's a solid steals contributor if you're in a category league, but in terms of a points league, I could definitely see him becoming a droppable player at this rate, so you might be able to get something for him if you try to make a trade, but if you don't get any takers, I wouldn't be too opposed to the idea of just dropping him. And then this last one's fairly obvious, but for some reason he is still rostered in 60% of leagues, so if Mitchell Robinson's on your team, just drop him, bro. Like, he's going to miss the entirety of the fantasy season, essentially. Maybe you'll have him for 1 week of, like, the fantasy playoffs, maybe. And I just wouldn't bet on that. It's not really worth taking up a spot on your roster. Maybe if you have 3 IR spots or something and you don't have anyone to put there, keep them. But otherwise, I don't see any reason to have them on your roster, so I just go ahead and drop them. And yeah, that's going to sum up the waiver wire pickups and drops videos for this week. Hopefully this helps some of you guys out. Like I said, I don't want to include any long-term options because the season isn't that long. I'm going to be making videos every week in terms of who you should pick up for the playoffs. So these are more all just short-term guys for this week, not really looking too far into the future. And yeah, with that being said, I want to thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it helps some of you guys out. As always, leave your waiver wire pickup suggestions in the comments below. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.